opportunities are not something which will get like thal pe paros ke. So you have to run after them, and then only you can convert your passion into profession. Otherwise, it's okay, go into the 9 to 5 job, go into the everything which is usually people are doing. If you want to do something extraordinary, you have to be extraordinary. I was an academic topper in 10th and 12th. I topped my school. But the thing was, I was like, why can't I find answers to the problems of my life in the books? I can't. I know I have so many organs. I know what is happening in the celestial bodies, in the planets, everything. I know what is the trigonometry formula. But what is the formula for living a happy life?
Hello to the podcast, The Sensitive Power, and today we have an incredible guest. She is a CEO, she is a company owner, she is a coach, and she is an author, and she is so many things. But she is all that at the age of 19. Can you believe that? So, we are going to learn about her story and get inspired so much. So, let's just hear from her. Thank you so much for coming to this podcast, Meher.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. This is incredible because when I heard about your story, I just felt like there is so much here to learn, and I had so many questions. It was a difficulty for me to hold myself down without asking you these questions because in my mind, I had already made up my mind that I will be asking those questions in the podcast. So let me just hold it in. Let me not ask
Huh?
them. So it was difficult for me. That was the case. So I'm so happy that finally we have reached here and we are about to start. So, first, before everything else, please tell me in short about all the achievements you have had till now, like step by step.
Okay, so let's go back 19 years pehle. So 19 years pehle, there was a child born in the hospital, just like any other child is born. So the doctor said that 1 in every 1,000 babies, we have this immune disorder. मतलब उनकी immunity काफी ज़्यादा weak होती है, काफी ज़्यादा. And I was one of them. And आज भी, when people out there can play and do everything and all, there are things which really I can't do because of that thing. So as I grew up, of course, I was grown up and raised as an ordinary child, but my mother being a psychologist, हर मम्मी को लगता है मेरा बच्चा अलग है, तो of course मेरी मम्मी को भी लगा मेरा बच्चा अलग है. And because she was in the child psychology wala side and business and all, so she started telling me things कि जब हम books के बाहर दुनिया को देखते हैं, we get to learn a lot more new things. And वहां से मेरी जर्नी शुरू हुई थी सर्टिफाइड लाइफ कोच की. आई एम वन ऑफ द यंगेस्ट सर्टिफाइड लाइफ कोचेस इन एंटायर इंडिया. One of the youngest authors of self-help book, which is this. At the age of 14, I wrote down this book. And I have more than 30 plus awards for my speaking ability, 100 plus stage appearances. I won of the Guinness World Record on my name in collaboration with Success Gyan for inspiring and motivating maximum number of people on Teachers Day, 5th September 2024. I've also won state level speaker, which was organized by Federal Bank in collaboration with Times of India. I was also invited by, there is a 7-star hotel tire chain, Barrier Bonvoy, called there as a speaker, and also by Sunita Are ma'am to empower women. She's the owner of Women Touch Entrepreneur Group. So my journey started on as a very ordinary child, and it's more like an imperfectly perfect life, and more like trying to cater out your passion into profession.
Wow. Awesome. How do you feel when someone says that at 19 you are here? How do you feel? What is the feeling you get?
I think, of course, I feel proud, but more of it's more like that I have a lot more to give. So when people say me I've done so much in 19, I still feel there's a way long to go. So it's more like अभी बहुत और कुछ हो सकता है. तो it's not even feeling proud, but it's more like अब मैंने इतना कर लिया तो और भी करना है. There's no stoppages. The sky is the limit. So yeah.
Very true, very true. One thing that I can see as a big difference in your story compared to any other 19-year-old is that this is very unusual, as we all know. But more important than that, your brilliance is a big factor, but the getting that level of opportunities is also a big factor. So, can you tell me a little bit about how you got those opportunities at the right time? You were at the right place at the right time, especially when you were a 14-year-old, when you had become an author and things like that. So when I was 14-year-old, even I wanted to be an author, right? So I
Yeah.
had still written a lot of poems, and I had written one fiction also, two fiction I think I had written by
Wow.
then when I was 14. So I also had so many aspirations like that, but I was in a village, and we did not have that kind of resources. But again, that was in 1990s, okay?
Yeah.
But if I look at all the people who are 19-year-old now, I can still see that they also don't have that kind of opportunity. You know,
I think
how did you reach there?
when we talk about the opportunities, I don't think that opportunities are something which will knock your door anytime. No, you have to run after them because you need them right now. So once you're at the scale, a good scale, of course, opportunities will come to you. So when you talk about opportunities for youth, especially a 19-year-old, we all have Instagram. We scroll reels on Instagram. We spend 1.5, 2 hours. What if you use that time and rather than using time, you utilize the time by collaborating with different people of the same niche? We have a vast number of people on Instagram. It's like an ocean of people and collaborators. Just go out and collaborate, look after them, see their work, get inspired. What else can be better getting inspired from the real life work of people rather than anything else? And today we have so many leverages that we can go outside. It's not a 90s का जमाना, right? तो बाहर घूमने के बजाय go to offline events. Just step in your shoes into the discomfort wala zone and you would feel that opportunities are really knocking at your door. Because opportunities are not something which will get like thal pe paroske. So you have to run after them and then only you can convert your passion into profession. Otherwise, it's okay, go into the 9 to 5 job, go into the everything which is usually people are doing. If you want to do something extraordinary, you have to be extraordinary.
Okay, that's interesting. But I have so many people in my life who want to do something interesting. But then they have been telling me they were in with me in my 9 to 5 job, right? So they have been telling me that Pritika, you're so lucky that after 12 years into IT, you finally got something to do that is really close to your heart, and you're inspiring so many people and doing so many things. They are like, trust me, even I want to do the same, but they don't really know what to do. So, and they're like, you're so lucky that you know. And I couldn't relate to it more because 12 years, even I was living my life as a
Right.
coder. And in those 12 years, I enjoyed my life as a coder. But then
Hmm.
it cannot be compared with the happiness that I am getting now. The satisfaction that I am getting now is something else altogether. So I totally relate to that. So, how do we really find out what is it that we want to do?
I think first of all, when you really know what you want, it's easier to go behind that. But then the question arises, how do you know what you want? That only arises from the concept of self understanding. Ki what do you really want? None of the other third person can really answer ki aapko kya chahiye. And that can only happen when you self discover. When you self discover what your real heart really needs. I believe what my theory and notion is, which I tell in my class to my clients, that two worlds. One is the inner world and one is the outer world. The outer world will people will tell you what to do, and you would assume that that is something which your inner world wants, and you would presume it. But when you deep dive into the inner world, you would really understand that you were just meeting the society's expectations all these years. When you leave them and you self discover, you really know what you do. So, the difference between you and those other people is just one thing: you know what you want, and they don't know what they want. You work upon your principles, and they work upon the societal principles. That's the difference. Because once we know what we want, we will run after it. But the question mark just needs to be answered here.
So, the self awareness is basically the
Ex-
gap.
Yes.
Okay. But for a 14-year-old, how did you get that level of self-awareness? We don't see that. Especially now, kids are at least much better. But when I was 14-year old, like we all were very like closeted in a way. There was no internet, there was nothing, only landline phone. There was no, smartphone or even just any kind of hand phone was not there. Only a landline was there. So we that is a totally different way, and the brain also works very differently. Your mom, as a psychologist, would be able to talk about it better. But then, what I was thinking is even the people now at 14, at the age of 14 or 15, I have met so many people and they are still not having that kind of a thinking, majority of the people. So, what
Hmm.
do you want to tell to them if you meet such people?
When I meet these youths, because I have been to various kinds of offline events as well, where I've catered the youth and all the people, I think when they actually invest more into others than themselves. So that is the one piece of advice I can just give, that invest more on yourself. They're more considerate about what people will think and people will judge and what people will perceive. And those people will may not be in your life in the coming future. So when you just hatao the emotion of what people will think and what people will judge you and just think about what you want, that is the point where you get the self awareness. Just think about what you really want in your life. Like, I'll give you an example. I have one of my friend, and his parents says that, you should go and do a job, you should earn because you should have a stable life, and he like loves music. So there is always a conflict of this thing, passion and profession. Now, there is a question of what the society or his parents want and what he wants. So, when you really discover that thing, I think life becomes really much more easier.
Okay. But of course, we have still the constraint of being able to survive. Means,
Hmm.
once you turn, let's say, 21. Okay, for us, 21, because engineering you completed 21, so I'll take that number. So at the age of 21, when you are done with your degree, is when your parents, as well as society, their main concern would be that, okay, you have reached this point, and now you should be able to earn by yourself. So, what
Absolutely.
parents usually strive for is that to make their kids independent. So, at the core of it, the thinking that parents usually have is that if something happens to me, this person can take care of themselves, right?
Hmm.
At the
Hmm.
end of the day, that's what the parents are thinking, which is why the parents end up forcing the kid to do some degree and get a job. It doesn't matter if it's 9 to 5, just that they should be able to survive. That's the minimum that they are looking for. And there are still many places where the girls are usually just get given in marriage and everything. That's still happening. But we are evolving. There is a long way, but still we are evolving. That is their mentality, because of which they are getting into this thing of not being where this person might be unstable, this issue or this particular situation that she has chosen for herself, like maybe a life coach or something. It might be unstable because every month and we are not getting a salary, right? So one month you might get 10,000, 1 month you might get 1 lakh, and then another 5 months you might not get anything. So this is the thinking usually what parents think about, right? So what do you want to say? Because see, the parents who are going to listen to this podcast, they are going to listen to you directly, right? So I want you to tell them how they need to inspire their kids when they reach 13 or 14. Yeah. So please go ahead.
I think practically it's a very debatable topic on passion versus profession, which cannot, this debate is endless, which has two strong parties. This debate cannot come to a conclusion practically. But when I say if parents are listening to this, I think all children deserve one chance, at least one, to pursue their passion. At least one. Because sometimes happiness can be kept over money. Sometimes, not all the times. I know practically it would be very impractical to say that, okay, if you're not even earning from your passion, it's okay. Just be there because you need to be independent at some point of time. You need money. Money is a survival kit. But talking about the real happiness inside the deep core of the heart that comes when we are pursuing our hobby, our passion, our interest. So, yeah, when you want mental stability here, you have to pursue something you like or love. So, give some time to your children to pursue the passion, at least some time. And If it goes well, that would be a bingo point. If it doesn't, of course, you have that thing to go back to the professional 9 to 5 wali life, go back to the usual life. But just think about, you want your child to be just ordinary or extraordinary. That is something which my mom used to tell me. There is always a debate going on between my mom and my dad. My mom used to always say, go to your, like, just be crazy about your passion. Don't think about the money part. And my father used to always say, have a stable life and do a job. And that is a debatable topic in my house. I have two opinions and two strong opinions. But at the end of the day, it's something I want to do and I want to pursue. It's my individual opinion. I want to go with my mother's opinion of passion or my father's opinion of profession and this thing. So at the end of the day, it's your individual opinion. But I would say to the parents to give a chance to their children at least once to make the children extraordinary.
I completely agree. Completely agree with this. Now, I want you to go through the whole journey of how this whole thing started, like the beginning of it. As a 14-year-old, you just started a book, or how did it? Somewhere, something should have started, right? It's not like something, will lead to something else and then you reach there. So, how did all this book writing start?
It all started years back, and it all started with I always wanted to become an actor. Honestly, I should say. I was crazy being an actor. So I used to learn theater, I used to learn all the dramatic things and all. And one fine day, I was doing a acting a course from an actor, a prominent actor, and he said, you are very good a speaker. You should learn speaking, and I will teach you because I am an RJ also. And I didn't want to because I always wanted to learn acting. I was not interested, but zabardasti karke I ended up doing it. And though I was a good speaker from the very beginning, but that really fined my speaking skills. I got various opportunities. So I was born like my this journey, professional journey, started with being a speaker, then going to a certified life coach, and then for credibility, I wrote a book. But I didn't know that would make me one of the youngest authors of self-help book in entire India. So my journey started way back, like from being a speaker to a certified life coach, because I used to have more interest in learning from life than books. I was an academic topper in 10th and 12th. I topped my school. But the thing was, I was like, why can't I find answers to the problems of my life in the books? I can't. I know I have so many organs. I know what is happening in the celestial bodies, in the planets, everything. I know what is the trigonometry formula. But what is the formula for living a happy life? I didn't get it. And that was the journey where I ended up being a certified life coach. I initially did it for myself, for having the questions, answers to the questions of my questions. And when I started on taking coaching classes and people gave me a really good feedback, I thought of why not make it into a profession. And within 4 years, I like cracked that model. And today I have my own company set up. So that is why I always say give one chance to pursue your passion. You don't know what works for you. So that is the thing.
Very true. But then, when you started, your journey as, related to acting, when you started learning about your acting, career and everything, you just started working on it. So, what was your age when you just started to learn acting?
I think I was around 11 or 12. 12. I was 12. I used to do Nukkad Nataks and all from the very beginning when I was in my 5th and 6th class. But then, like in 8th and ninth, around that class, I think I was like, I want to be an actor. I want to go to Mumbai. I don't know. And my mom said, okay, after 12th, you can go. So that was the criteria. Ki you do your schooling and you go to Mumbai and give the auditions and all. But life had some other plans which were even more beautiful, I suppose.
Okay. So, whatever you learned as an actor, so that is what started the whole journey, right? Because you started something. But then,
Yeah.
of course, that was an entirely different tangent, and what you ended up doing was entirely different. Now, if a parent now comes to you, like listens to you, and they'll be like, "Oh, I know that my kid has a lot of talents and is very brilliant and everything, but I don't know how to push my kid. So where should I start?"
Hmm.
So what would you like to tell them?
Change your ways. and your child would like develop that interest. If he would have an interest in that, he would develop that thing. Agar nahi hoga to then it's not possible. But change your ways, because if A plan doesn't work, B would. If B doesn't work, C would. So I think there's a very beautiful quote by Tony Robbins, sir, that if you are not able to achieve something, change the way, change the road. Maybe the road is not right. Maybe your goal is right, but the road is not right. So I think the parents should change the road, change the ways to deal with their children and to deal with their interests. And I think things will change. And that is the only ultimatum and like way they can opt for.
Okay, awesome. This is so beautiful. I loved how your journey transpired from acting to speaking to something else, and then finally, this is such a beautiful journey. But I understand this is how almost many people's lives are like this. We try to do something and then we end up doing something else. Just giving an example of Chetan Bhagat, he started with engineering and then he did MBA and then finally became a banker, and then he became a writer and all
Yeah.
that, right? Many people go through these kind of discoveries, but what happens to most people when they are choosing a line is that they just want that line to be the final, that
Hmm.
if I do not reach the success that I want in this particular area which I am trying, which I am pursuing, then I am a failure. And that kind of a mindset is usually what we can see in actors, because actors are who become famous, right? So maybe one hit wonders they give, two movies are done, and then every other movie is a flop, and then we just get a news that somewhere somebody is working as a very low paying job or something like that. We have seen so many stories like that. And there is this mindset that I tried this and I failed. And then, they start thinking that they are the failure. So it was not the case for you. You loved acting, but then somehow you ended up changing. And I have also seen so many of my students telling me that, what if I fail? What if I go to this side and what if I fail?
Hmm.
And there is so much stigma around it that, oh, I wasted so many years that, on this particular area. So what do you like to tell for that kind of a mentality? Especially parents have this mentality. The kids are still okay. So what would you like to tell them?
I would not like to tell them anything but ask them a few questions. Who is a failure? Is it a subjective definition or an objective definition? Would you say ki before inventing this bulb, the person like he failed hundred of times and the 100th one time he ended up making that bulb? So if he would have like identified him as a failure, that I am a failure on the very third go, he would not have ever invented the bulb or the lights we have. So who is a failure? A failure is a person who never tried. It's not something theoretical I'm saying, but a practicality. Because I love to live in the practical world. No theory, no bookish language, nothing. So if you have not tried, you are a failure. If you think okay, opportunities will come and knock my door, yes, you are a failure. If you think, oh, I don't know what I want in my life, yes, you are a failure. But if you have tried and you're still trying, you can never be categorized as a failure. It's just the definition we have put forward, that if you're not successful, you are a failure. If you're not wealthy, you are a failure. If you don't have money, you are a failure. But are you really a failure if you're really trying? If you're trying, you are in the group of trying, not the failure ones. Failure ones are who are like, I can't try anymore, I am just done. When you say this, yes, you are a failure. So now when you rechange the words of the definition, now ask yourself, if you're not able to succeed, is it not worth giving a more try, or just terming yourself as a failure is better? you know it's psychology that people who term themselves as this, as just giving themselves, their brain, this command that it's okay if you have failed, and it's just a bahana, an excuse of not trying once again. Giving yourself the label, the banner that you're a failure, means you're just giving an excuse to your mind. Oh, okay, it's okay if you're not trying once again, don't feel guilty, it's okay. So when we are just trying to do that thing, it's okay, you are not guilty, that means you are wrong. So being a failure, just change the definition and things would work out. And especially for the parents, because we are targeting more of the parents wala thing. Never term your children as failure. Never. Because they got parents like you, and I think that makes them the most successful in the world. So just don't. They are your children. And if you will say them and categorize them as failure, what will the world say? because the parents are the most empathetic people children get in the world. And if you are not showing them the empathy, how will the world show? So don't ever term them as. Rather say them that we are proud and we know you will make us successful one day. That would make him give more determination to actually succeed one day. That is how mind works.
Okay, awesome. I have told this to many of my friends who are parents, and they're like, अगर ऐसे बोलेंगे तो वो सर पे चढ़ जाएंगे, all that. So they are like, they might actually feel very entitled to everything, and it's we need to show more tough love. This won't, what you're saying won't work. So this is also a big argument, and it is sometimes tiring because they are so fixated on their way of parenting and they don't want to get out of that, and they have seen how their parents had treated them, and
Hmm.
they are just so fixated on it and they don't want to change those ways. And if we say something, then they don't want to open their mind to it also.
Hmm.
So I totally understand this, but I think this coming from you gives a lot of perspective. If I say it, I'm still one of those kids who completed engineering, did 9 to 5 for 12 years, and then came to something unconventional. But coming from you, it's going to be way more powerful. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now coming back to you, and let's leave the parents aside and let's come back to a slightly different topic. How did you get introduced to life coaching first? And then from there, how did that journey come to become a life coach and then create your own company?
I think I was lucky in that sense that I had an amazing, amazing mother, even more determined than me. She was somebody who used to go through things and find ways, and actually, I would say, build the building blocks for that road which I needed. And she introduced me. I did my first certified life coaching from Mrs. Ritu Agarwal, the founder of I Deserve. And my mom introduced me to her that we'll be starting this course and all and everything. After that, I had so much, like, developed so much interest in it that I ended up doing relationship mastery course from Mitesh Khatri sir, law of attraction from Mitesh Khatri sir. I did Ho'oponopono from Beshu Bhargava ma'am, and I also did some of the Tony Robbins sir's course, Design Your Destiny. Then Arfeen Khan sir course also. So these are celebrity coaches. So that was, I think, the turning point while my mom was busy building the building blocks, and I really developed a keen interest in that thing. I developed myself to the extent that I then further discovered all the through the roads which can be explored simultaneously. So I think that point was not somebody I would really give credit to for introducing me to the thing rather than my mom, because she was the one paving the way all through.
Okay, awesome. So tell me a little bit about, finally now, what are the services that you are providing in your company? If somebody would approach your company, what all they can expect from you?
So I am more right now into the healing part and the high clientele part. So I have a certified life coaching course, wherein which is a 3 months course in which you become a certified life coach from the very scratch, from zero to hero. So in those 3 months, you actually can feel that transformation, that 360-degree transformation of your entire life, from cracking the niche to becoming a coach, everything. And then I have one of the business coaching thing, which is Design Your Destiny. Again, one of the names of Tony Robbins sir's course, which I went through and which was really amazing. So I'm not like planning to make a replica of it, but that name really inspired me. So that is the thing wherein you strategize your business and crack the six-figure revenue generating code, and you become a revenue generating model company. So there are two models I rightly operate on and I have clients for. One is making you a certified life coach, and one is establishing your business and a business strategist coach, wherein I strategize your business and, like, I help you to crack that six-figure revenue generating model with very little investment. So that is the thing. And then there
Awesome.
are group sessions and certain for Ho'oponopono inner child healing, but then they come as the base one and the base two, and these are the main things and have the maximum clientele and the high ticket clientele in both of them.
Okay, awesome. So how long it has been since you started your company?
For incorporation and publishment, it's been only 3 months, but I've been doing coaching and all from the past 4 years. So the
Okay.
formal publishing of the company and incorporation and documentation was done 3 months back.
Okay. So when you had written your book and published your book, you are already a coach?
Yeah,
Okay. So at the age of 15, if it's 4 years, means maybe you started at the age of 15, right?
yeah.
As a coach. Okay. So a 15-year-old becoming a coach, okay, how did people receive it in the beginning?
So initially, of course, it's very awkward, a 15-year-old sitting and telling something to a 50-year-old. I mean, that's really absurd and weird because on one hand, it's a young soul, and on the other hand, it's an experienced soul. But what really amazes them was a young soul having those wordings and having those words of wisdom of a 50-year-old without those experiences. So that I think was the main point of charisma or attraction for them. And you would be surprised to know that I have most of the clientels today also in the age gap of 45 to 50, starting from 40 and maximum from 45 to 50, because they get impressed because whatever they have learned from their experiences, they are listening through a young soul with words of wisdom. So I think that amazes them more. And of course, it's not a journey of full of roses, right? You also get negative comments, negative things, feedbacks, and also some things that, if you are such small, how can you tell us? That is kind of conversations you get to hear. But again, the point comes when you're crazy about what you need to do, these words doesn't matter. And these words really doesn't matter. When you know what your purpose is, your life is half, more than half sorted.
Yes, that's so incredible. But one thing that catches my eye here is that you were able to move past what people said to you. So for
Hmm.
that, you need to have another level of confidence and more like, the basically a thick skin, to be, very precise. So this is something that people lack even at the age of 40, because it's all kind of driven from a point of societal expectations and how they are getting validated by the society. Basically, it's like validation from the society. And this is engraved in our DNA also because,
Hmm.
if we consider our ancestors, the only way they would survive is if the community is accepting of us, because everybody had to help each other so that they can save each other from wild bears or whatever, right? So that DNA is still there in us, which is why now it is converted into, char log kya kahenge or something like that, right? But how were you not faced by it?
Of course, in the starting, there are emotions which actually shoot up in you that I need also validation. But my mom always, when I used to go and that people are saying this, people are saying that, and even today I get to hear things. It's not when you have reached a level of success, you don't get to hear. And mostly, even from your loved and dear ones, sometimes even from my friends also. So that is something which you would get to hear all your life. So one thing is my mom used to always ask me one thing. Do you love those people more, the validation more, or the thing you are actually proceeding towards more? Do you love your goal more or the people more? It's your call. If you say people, it's okay. You would need the validation. I am okay with it, but you need to answer it from the heart. And I said, I don't think I can love those people more than the stage, more than the mic, more than those trophies, more than those acknowledgements, the accomplishments. I cannot, even though I want to. And my mom used to smile and say, that's your answer. So when you say you should have a thick skin, I think it's okay to be emotional and to cry sometimes. It's really okay. You're a human being, you're not a robot. You would feel things. I cannot say, oh my God, I never used to feel anything. I was so strong. I was this. I was not a robot. I was a human. I used to feel. But this, I used to ask myself this question 100 times. Are those people important or is my goal important? So even when you're not getting validation from your very close ones, your loved ones, you need to ask, is the validation important or your goal important? If the validation is important, it's okay. It's your choice. Just leave your goal. Don't even think about it, your goal then. ठीक है करो वो जो people are saying. Just ask yourself. It's more like self questioning is the best solution to every problem.
Very true. So now I am kind of doing a comparison between the people who are my students and you, of course. So one thing that I'm seeing is you have a strong parent as your rock, right? Who will be always there to catch you when you have, any kind of difficulty in this road. But what I can see in others, including my students, the people around me, all this is that if we end up choosing something that is not conventional, then the parents would be not interested in catching you because it is against what they had said. They would be like, मैंने कहा था तुम गिरोगी मैंने
Hmm.
कहा था all that. So basically at the end of the day, of course, see, this goes without a question that what parents are doing is because they care, right? So
Yeah.
मैंने कहा था, when you say I had told you, what are they saying? I had told you that you will suffer.
Hmm.
But they at the same time they do not understand that they don't want you to suffer, but some level of suffering is okay. We need to learn that a little bit, and we need to be able to go ahead. So when you had those moments where you were feeling sad because maybe there are haters, of course we will all have haters when we come up and we have so many followers. So when you had these haters and when you were going through a low moment, so can you give a picture of how your mother was there for you? She was a rock for you, and that would be something that the parents who are watching can learn from.
I think before reciting that story, how she stood as a rock, because that would be really very close to my heart. If you remember the scene from Dangal, where Amir Khan really pushed his daughter into the water and said, "Every time I'll not be there to catch you. You have to learn how to float above." That your words really reminded me of that scene, because when I know my mom is always there to catch me, come what may. But sometimes we have this conversation where my mom is actually telling me that every time I'll not be there. Not because I cannot be, but because I want you to face it individually. And so there are two scenarios. For all the parents, I would really say, whenever your child needs you the most, I think you should be there as a parent. That time you should not think as a parent, but more as a friend, and a real friend, not for just saying those mere words. Because at that point of time, your child needs a friend more than a parent. So be there for your children, come what may, because nobody can love your child more than you. And when your child needs that support and love, only you can be there, nobody else. And for the else question you asked, that there are so many students out there who doesn't have a support of their parents. So sometimes it's really okay to face the battles alone. If you don't have a support system, it's okay. Have that strength, gather it up. If you have, it's awesome. But if you don't have, don't make it an excuse in the battle of success. Even if you don't have an army of people, that wouldn't mean that you won't really go into that war. You won't protect yourself, or you won't use that sword. Even if the other person is an army of people and you're alone, you would at least give it a try. It won't be like you would run behind, okay, I don't have an army. So even if you're alone, it's okay. Just at least try, get into that war. The max would be you will not be able to reach that point, but at least you tried. If you will not try, you will be a failure, but if you try, you'll be a person who's trying. So again, both of the situations exist, and both of the situations are good in itself. Because sometimes my mom, being my support system, always tell me this is something which happened. You have to face it alone. This is your battle. I am not going to be there. So again, there she plays the role of a parent, but there are times when she plays the role of a friend also. So it needs to be balanced. Both extremes are bad. So it's not be like for all the parents, you be a parent all the time, don't support your children. No, please be a friend. And for all the people who are like, I want a overprotective thing for my children, please don't do that also. So let it be a balanced life, a balanced thing.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing advice. I completely agree with you because we are, as people who are grown in the 90s, for me, the first one thing that 90s kids always crave is to have that level of unconditional love where whatever we choose, the parents
Hmm.
will be agreeing. I am from a village, so over there, it's actually crazy level of luck if the parents are approving of the person you loved and you're getting
Yeah.
married. That is itself a big deal. Oh my God, my parents said yes to the person I love. Okay, so that itself is like a especially the girl's parents would not agree at all because love marriage was also kind of stigmatized. But
Hmm.
now of course times have changed. Still, I can see a lot of people going through the same thing.
Hmm.
So definitely beautiful answer. Thank you so much for this. Now I want to go back to your company again. So you have been helping so many people on life coaching and change their lives in the last 4 years. What was like one or two or even three different problems that were so common among all the people in these 4 years?
One was the attachment issues, that I get attached to very easily and I'm not able to leave this person or something like that. So this was really very, very, very common I saw. The second one was that I don't know what I want in my life. So I want you to explore and tell me what I want in my life. So the second one was this. And the third one which came across was healing, emotional healing. I'm not able to understand my own emotions. Emotional healing, and I'm not able to heal the traumas, and I'm not able to feel safe. My inner child is not able to feel safe. So these three were the very basic problems and common problems I catered to all these years.
Okay. So, coming to emotions, one thing that I have seen as a big problem, there is a shortage of people who are able to understand their emotions. Emotionally scarce, people. There is so much of scarcity of emotions, and to a point where the people who are showing emotions are also considered as either a nuisance or you're a very emotional person or a very sensitive person. And but then of course we need to embrace our emotions, we need to at least understand our emotions, to embrace and to be able to manage your emotions and regulate your emotions. Before that we need to actually understand our own emotions. And what I can see, especially in guys, at least women or girls are allowed to cry, they at least cry. But for the men or the boys, from a very young age they are being told to not show any emotions other than anger. Of course anger they can show, but other than that no other emotions they will be showing, and they got so trained to it that they are not able to connect to the emotions that are shown by their own the women in their lives or the girls in their life, and they are like, what is this alien behavior, right? So this is what is happening and it is shockingly prominent and shockingly common right now. So what do you want to say about this situation that's happening and the way people are running away from emotions? The moment there is a sadness or a tension or anything like that, hey, bhul ja, hey, let it go. How can you let it go? You can't let it go, but even if you're holding on to it, people would look down upon you. So, this whole thing, like, what is your take on this issue?
The first question I'm going to ask is, do robots show emotions? Do robots have emotions?
No.
So if you don't want to show emotions, are you a robot being created by human? Maybe not. So while you are delving deep into technologically advancing the country and the world, maybe we are becoming those machines which we are making. So let's not be that first. While we talk about this, that we don't have to express our emotions or something, those emotions will just get suppressed in you. What about the inner space? Emotions are a part of humans. If you just take out the emotions out of a human is not a human. So when we say, okay, we'll not express our emotions, we'll not say, I love you, we'll not say those things, you're becoming a stagnant. It is like an isle of stagnation. And suppressing those, you would find that it is outbursting it one day, either in the form of anger, either in the form of resentment, either in the form of any health issue. When you say something, this has happened, what is that? It's actually emotions accumulated. And this is scientifically proven now. So while we say we are strong, we won't show, I'm sorry, those emotions are getting inside you, in your body. They're still there because you're not healing them. It's just like you're not confronting them. So while you say you're strong, you are strong when you're healing those emotions, not confronting those emotions. Confront them, accept it, acknowledge them, and they'll just let it go. Just don't come to the space, acha, we don't even have any emotions. We are emotionless. So that is not a good thing. And if I ask you, when was the last time you said I love you to your dear ones? When was the last time you said I love you to yourself? Maybe never. To yourself, to never, I know. So that is the point. Don't be emotionless. They're a part of you. Acknowledge them.
Very true. But yes, the strength is considered to be acknowledged with not being emotional. So that's a very beautiful thing that you have explained, because when we say strength, the strength will actually come when you are facing your emotions, right?
Hmm.
And why is it that people are considering strength to be having no, you're connected with having no emotions? Why is that happening?
Because we are more into the world which Instagram shows us, which we are more into the world which the uh, illusional world show us, which the real world show us, but not into the real world. You just ask your parents, were they emotional? And they would say yes. Just ask your grandparents, did they acknowledge their emotions? They would say yes. Because at that time, the world was not based on showing, it was upon more of showing up. There's a difference. Showing means just portraying what you want to portray, and showing up means being there authentically who you are. So, authenticity is no more in the world. There's more of fakeness, and there is an app which would tag you if, like, you did not go to a concert or something. They would tag you up and they would, like, take some payment. So, the world is so fake right now that even though you're not at that event, just because you want to show it to the people, you would pay money to get tagged into that reel. I think when we build authenticity and we are not diplomats, we would acknowledge this notion that emotions are more important, and emotional people are way more, should be way more acknowledged than non-emotional people who don't acknowledge their emotions.
Very true. Now the viewers would have definitely understood that you have so much to offer. Then I am very sure that they would still be asking this one question कि ये सब ठीक है लेकिन कहाँ तक पढ़ा है? Okay. So what are you doing now? Are you learning something? Are you actually working on getting a degree or something, or are you just very happy with the company, which is actually way better though? So, what is it that you're doing? Are you learning something also in addition to your business?
I said I was always a keen student. I was an academic topper. So leaving studies was never a part of my story. I would not say I'm a very good time management person, but I think I cracked that code very easily. So I am pursuing BCom honors from Shri Guru Gobind Singh College of Commerce, Delhi University. And along with that, I'm doing the course of actuarial science. So I have cracked two papers. Actuarial science is more like when you want to become an actuarist. So it has 13 papers all in line. And when you crack those, you get a very high paying job. So math has always been something I've loved. The first love of my life, when I was a kid before the speaker journey, maths was my love. So this is more on that. So it's never like I did not, because my father always wanted me to have a stable job in life. As I said, parents have this point of view, and it's okay. And I really respect him for that. So he was like, you have to do something. So I did BCom honors from DU. I'm in third year right now. And side by side, I was also doing actuarial science. Along with that, I was doing writing my book. I'm writing my third book right now, which is Phoenix Rising: Story of Rebirth. It is a self-help book specially targeted on teenagers and young adults because they don't read self-help books. They're not considered about reading those. So it is an attempt to make and help them live a life they have always deserved to live. A life wherein they can accumulate that hope, that courage, and pursue what they want. And while we say, there was a question you asked me, passion versus profession. I think I did what my father wanted, and I'm doing what my mother wanted and what I wanted. So if you have a good time management thing, you can do everything. But for the people who don't have, then I give, just choose one. That is the thing.
Yeah, very true. I think academically, because you're already quite brilliant, so I think that kind of helps. there could be some more students who might need to learn more to be able to understand. So, not everybody has the same learning brilliance, right? Or any other brilliance for that matter. Like intelligence is varying, whether it is emotional
Hmm.
intelligence or math intelligence or any other. So, because academically you have been topping, so I think it's kind of getting easier for you to manage your time as well. Is that right?
No, it's not like that. It is not like a topper would be perfect. I was really very imperfect. When I started side by side on with this journey, I was feeling a lot of discomfort in managing the time. I was not a pro in managing my time. But because I wanted to do something and I used to laugh, there was like, I don't know if it is day or night, but I'm working because I love to work. So that is the thing. A topper, even there are so many backbenchers out there who are doing wonders in their life. They did not have interest in their studies. They had interest in basketball. They had interest in something else. And they're doing wonders in that. It's what suits you and your soul. It's nothing being a topper. I have not used my topper wala brilliance in any of this field. Trust me. The bookish world and the life coaching world is very different. So my both of like it's nothing to do with the academic intelligence there. The padhai wala intelligence.
Okay. Okay. So now one question that comes to my mind is we know so many people in your age who are introverts,
Hmm.
who don't connect with people, but still they want to do something big. सपने तो बड़े हैं, लेकिन introvert nature kind of comes in the way. So what would you like to tell them?
I think first of all, start with your parents. You cannot become an extrovert all of a sudden. So, I would not even say that extroverts are better than introverts. It's nothing like that. Of course, for networking, you need to be an extrovert. I am agreeing to it completely. But all the professions doesn't need networking in them. That it is not compulsory. So, but even start expressing something a little bit. Go to your parents, have a word with them, and then further make friends out there. Be a little frank to them, open to them. I am not saying for the introverts to get converted into extroverts because each person has an individual personality and a very unique one too. I'm just saying, just start on with the things of talking, saying out because most of the people who are introverts actually suppress their emotions even more. So you should bring out them and you should speak. You should speak what you think is not right. That's it.
Okay, awesome. So the last question is, if you had this opportunity to go back and meet your younger self at 12 years old when everything started, is there any advice you would like to give to her to make your life any different? Is there anything out there?
I think I would surely say I would not like to make my life any different. I would not advise my younger self anything because I would let her do all the mistakes she did. I would let her go fall in those dick pits when she did. I would let her feel that heartbreak. I would let her feel when her heart aches. I would let her feel all the emotions which she faced because each emotion has made her what I am today. If maybe I would have guided her that time, if I would get this opportunity, don't do this or don't do this, you would feel this. Okay. And I would have stopped her and I would get the opportunity to stop her. Maybe there would be some lackings or some things which I would not have today. Maybe I would not have the strength to face those things in the future again. So I would not give any advice. I would not like to change anything. And that is what my mentors taught me. Don't regret anything. Whatever happened, happened for good. Let it be. Don't regret anything. Because who you are today is made because of your past version. And you should respect that. So, when you say an advice, I wouldn't give. But of course, if I would have the opportunity to meet her, I would just go, look into her eyes, give her a hug, kiss her on her cheeks. And with that warm hug, I would say goodbye. And I would say, I'm so proud of yourself. Keep shining, and I'm there waiting after so many years waiting for you, and I'll be the biggest cheerleader when you'll reach there, and I'll just go, and that's all.
Okay, okay. So just one point over there that I feel is very prominent to be addressed is that as I said in the previous question that parents are telling कि मैंने कहा था कि ये देखो ऐसा
Hmm.
होगा, right? So at the end of the day they are somewhere thinking that you should not suffer,
Hmm.
right? So usually when I ask anybody what would you like to do advice to your younger self, they are like oh, what if I had not suffered here and here and here? What if I
Hmm.
had not had these uncomfortable emotions here and here? But you are saying that you want her to go through those uncomfortable emotions that you
Because
went
that can't
through.
be changed. That can't be changed in real life. Sometimes, I would say, not all times, of course, sometimes sufferings are beautiful. If you
Yeah.
find that optimism in that, not all times. But yes, the sufferings which are caused because of you can be controlled. Something which is natural, any situation which has come to you, like an exam which you have to cross down, it's important to evolve as a person to pass on that exam. You will not be able to go into the 12th class if you don't pass the exam of 10th class. Similarly, in life we have levels, so you cannot evolve as a person in the future if you don't pass the exam or the situation. So these are not sufferings, these are exams, the learnings of life. When you talk about your sufferings, you made those sufferings, health issues which came because you were not so much involved in yourself or helpful to you, then of course that is you inviting them. But other things in coming in life, they're learnings, not suffering. So there are two different types of sufferings which you need to categorize.
Yeah, very true. So I'm so happy that you highlighted that because just as parents, we need to push and be okay with our kids going through hardships so that they can grow and so that they can reach a level. And almost, I think any parent would be wanting a kid like you. So any parent would like to see their kids achieving what you have achieved. So it's so beautiful, and I'm so happy to see that you have reached a level like this. And if you can, that means many more people can, and the world will be a much better place. So thank you for being that kind of inspiration for people from the age 14, or less, and being able to help people at the age of 50 and more, right? And showing to the world that yes, this is also possible, where there are still more people telling कि ये कौन है मुझे समझाने वाली कल के आई बच्चे right. So being that inspiration, being that example, it just you being yourself is basically helping people open up to possibilities
Hmm.
that they did not think possible, you know
Yeah.
so that is another level of work that you have been kind of doing unknowingly because it just happened and you ended up putting so much effort into this line, and it just changed everything. And this kind of came as a side effect that you're helping people open up to new possibilities that they never thought possible. Even I never thought possible until I saw you and two more people I know who are of the same age. You must be knowing them. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for that kind of an inspiration, and I wish you all the best to grow like 10 times, 100 times more. And I would be so happy to see you reach there, and hoping to have another podcast sometime, when you reach
Thank
like
you.
10 times more. And I want to know more about how that journey went. So I can't wait to connect with you for that again. So thank you so
Sure.
much for coming.
I'm hoping and I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm really grateful to answer these questions. These were really brainstorming questions. And I think when you answer those deep questions which you asked, and they were really amazing, your brain really starts working to that extent that, okay, you get a more deeper perspective about life right now. So I think that is a major thank you to you for inviting me on this very beautiful platform. And for all the subscribers and all the people watching this podcast, I would really say this is such an informational content she is providing, and I must say from the bottom of my heart, do subscribe her, follow her, like this video, and share it with your friends because if you do so, you're also contributing to change in some other people's life. And keep on following her and keep on seeing her videos just like I do. And just she's shining, and all the viewers, you also keep on shining.
Yeah, thank you so much for such beautiful and kind words. And let's again connect very, very soon. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yes, for sure. Thank you so much. Bye bye.